It's my absolute delight to welcome Andrew Roachford to Hitmakers Exposed today. Andrew and I go back a long way before he became an esteemed member of the Order of the British Empire, which I think allows him to herd sheep through the centre of London. But I've loved his music ever since the early days of Cuddly Toy and Family Man. He has an amazing career and still sounds amazing. How the hell you're like the Dorian Gray of the music business. You don't get any older. First of all, welcome, and second,
I don't know about that.
What's your secret?
Oh, I don't have a secret. I mean, I just get on with it. I think a lot of people have a preconception of how they're supposed to be at each time in their life. And when I get to this age, I'm supposed to be there. I just sort of live in the moment and just get on with it. And I'm, you know, my love for music, my passion for music is what drives me, you know, no matter what else is or isn't happening. Once that fire and that passion is there, I'm good.
Yeah. I remember very fondly a night where after we'd been at my local pub, we sat up half the night listening to Sly and the Family Stone and just going, oh, this was real music. Who would you cite as your biggest influences in your music?
I mean, you named one of them for sure, you know, and with Sly and the Family Stone, Sly Stone was also an inspiration philosophically, spiritually. I mean, every time he says something, I'm like listening to any interview, even now, and he's like this crippled old bent over, but it's almost like Confucius say, every time he opens his mouth, there's a gem, you know, and it's so subtle. So yeah, I think the people that have been an inspiration to me musically have often been also an inspiration to me on other levels, like Stevie Wonder, of course. You know, he's a big sort of advocate of, you know, acceptance, you know, other people, other religion, other races, and he's so sort of ahead of his time in a way he was, and I really love that about him. Everything that he does in his music comes from a good place. It comes from the heart. You know, I'm not saying he's a perfect human being, but where the music's coming from, what it says to me, I relate to and I resonate with, and that's again. So all those guys, Al Green, all the Motown guys, Marvin Gaye. It's that same thing that you just resonate with them as people, and you reckon that, you know, if you were to have the honor, I mean, you know, Marvin Gaye's gone now, but just so sit around a table talking to these guys, that you would have a lot in common, you know, and how you see the world.
You talk about philosophy in this way, and you know, it makes me wonder, you know, when you make the music, have you got a message? Have you got a cause that you like to bring into your music making?
Definitely, I think. I mean, it's not even, you know, when I was younger, it wasn't even conscious in a big way. It wasn't like I sat down and thought, right, I'm going to write a song, but if this is the message I want to put, I just wrote songs, you know. I loved music and I loved playing with phrases and words, but most of the music, if not all, the chords, because I normally start with a chord structure and melodies, it tend to evoke that same feeling of empathy and emotional, but in a very empathetic kind of way, if you understand what I mean. Like, that's the driving energy, I believe, of soul music, you know. A lot of people think that soul music is born out of, like, the blues, out of pain, which there is that element to it, but it's also about, beyond the pain, you learn empathy. Because, you know, when you have been through it, you understand, well, everyone is going through it. And so generally my music that's the thread. It's wherever I'm singing, because I sing a lot of love songs and everything, but if you look a bit deeper, it's not just love on a sort of cute, you know, partnership, boy and girl, whatever it is. It's also on a deeper level. It's about the heart.
I love that. And you know me, Andrew. It's like, you know, we're both coming from the same place when we write. It's like, let's make it have a reason for being here. And at the very least, you know, even if it doesn't become a hit song or even released, you've still got a great legacy to leave behind, haven't you? Something that you're proud of.
Exactly. I mean, with you, I always found that was one of the things that I loved about you as a songwriter, is that the person beyond the songwriting is the same. You're just as passionate and heartfelt in what you say as you are in the songs outside of it. It's the same person. And so it's you. Your music is an extension of you. You know, it's not just like some songwriters, it is a technical exercise, and then they go home and put on their actual real person, if you know what I mean. But some of us, there's no separation in that way.
Yeah, thank you. So when did you first know that you had a voice?
Oh, now see, you know what? I started out as a piano player because my mum was graceful enough and I guess wise enough to get me a private tutor. So I started doing classical music, and then my mum's family, it's like she's one of 7, and most of them musicians, you know, and they were boys, and so she had a lot of brothers that were gigging around, and 2 of them lived in London, and so the house that I grew up in had music, and so I was playing, and I started getting into my uncle's sort of jazz stuff a little bit. I was very intrigued by the jazz and the blues, so I started playing the piano, and I play it every day, and I loved singing along to what I was playing in my own private space. I had a piano in my bedroom, and it was like I just loved the resonance again and the feeling of it, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do in public. But then one day my uncle heard me singing, and I must have been about 13, and he was like, "Oh, you got a good voice. Yeah, I think one day you'll have to be playing with me in my band." But he meant like one day in about a year's time. And he taught me Ray Charles' song "Georgia on My Mind." And I was thinking, there's no way I'm going to sing this in public. I liked learning it with him. And then he had a gig down the road, and he was like, "Right, you're on." And talk about dropping you in the deep end. But my uncle was kind of a scary man, bless him. And you didn't say no to Uncle Bill. You just didn't say no to Willie Roachford. You just didn't do it. And so I had to do it. And then the reaction that I got, I think I was 13 or 14. I thought, wow, maybe I just got the child vote because I was cute, if you know what I mean, sweet. But I slowly started to realize that people got something from my singing. And so it wasn't just me, but people actually felt something. I never really considered myself like, oh, I've got the best voice ever. I just knew that I put my whole self in it.
Yeah, I think there's so much to be said for that, of just living the song, isn't it? And you know, I think that's what I love about listening to you sing, is that I believe every fucking word that you sing. And it's not just me talking as a friend. It's like I've seen you plenty of times, and there's a difference between, you know, you talked about songwriters that are technical. We both know singers that are technically very good, but leave you feeling very little. And it's not about the technical ability, although you have that but that.
Thank you. I mean, you know, I think I thought of it the other day, and it's like one of the differences is there are singers that are like me, immersed in the music and immersed in the lyric, but they're immersed in it. And then there are singers that are kind of more immersed in themselves, if you know what I mean. Yes. And the public, but the people listening can feel the difference. The person that's like right in the emotion of the music, as opposed to the person that's sort of just trying to impress people with what they can do. And I always say that I'd rather move people than impress people. I'm not interested in impressing people. I want people to feel something and feel what I feel. And if I can, and I'm thankfully I have the ability to translate that through the air and transmit it. I don't know how, because I can't teach that to another singer. You know, you can't teach it. It's like, it's just something about how you express yourself, you know, and if it happens to be through the medium of music, which it is with me, then that's how it comes across.
Yeah. Did your folks encourage you then to move into the music business, other than Uncle Willie?
Yeah. My mum, I mean, you know, when I went to school, I wasn't great at school. I mean, I really, my joke was there was something about maths that just didn't add up to me. I know it's a terrible joke.
Bring on the dad jokes. I love them.
Yeah, the dad jokes, yeah. And so I think I was getting on the nerves of the teachers, but in the meantime, I was at home learning, grade 6 and grade, whatever. And so my mum knew that I was serious about music. She knew that I wasn't one of those kids that was like, I want to be a pop star. I actually really wanted to excel in what I was doing. And so when my math teacher had a meeting with my mum and said, get him to stop playing music for a couple of years and take his exams, and then, then maybe he can start back music. My mum was just like, that's not going to happen. She knew that my life was already, as far as where I was heading, was already destined to be in music, and started gigging with my uncle at 14. And, I was actually, it was illegal because I was working in all these seedy nightclubs in Soho. I mean, there were strippers and everything. It was pretty nuts. But I was getting, I'd get paid. And so I was getting paid before I left school. I couldn't tell any of my mates because it was a bit dodgy. But people picked up on things because I was falling asleep in every class because finishing work at 4 a.m. and then going to school in the morning. It was nuts. But basically, yeah, my family were like, well, Andrew's going to be, grandmother was just like, she was so proud. They would sit there. My grandmother, I go to Barbados and she would get all of the aunties and the great aunts, and they would sit and watch me play. And, it was like having an audience. And this is my family. So I couldn't get more encouragement than that from the family, really.
Yeah. While we're on Barbados, you just mentioned it. How important is it for you? Because I know that you go back there quite a lot. How important is it for you to get your feet on the ground there?
Oh man, I mean, it's I can't even find the words because obviously I was born in London and I grew up in the UK, and I feel very much British, but I also feel very much Caribbean because of the home culture that I had growing up. Even in the UK, it was like I grew up in a West Indian household, if you know what I mean. And so summer holidays and Christmases were mostly spent in Barbados growing up, and all the family there. And over the years, obviously, people have passed and whatever, and all of my, the elders, my uncles, my aunts, my grandmother, grandparent, they're all buried out there. And even my dear brother's ashes are out there. So going to Barbados feels like another home soil, if you know what I mean. And it's very grounding as well because the memories that are there, it's like incredible.
Yeah. So family's a big thing for you then?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was lucky enough, some of my mates were, distanced from their family through one reason or another. And I know that family isn't just about blood. It can just be the right mates around you. You got a family. I was lucky enough that I grew up with quite a close-knit family that for the most part got on, so Christmases weren't a nightmare. And also I had my one brother, just me and my brother, but a lot of people say they couldn't work with their siblings, and I worked with him for many years, and we were kind of always together. And so my family were all also my friends, and that's quite a nice thing to have.
Yeah, and we should absolutely mention what a lovely man your brother was as well.
Yes. Yeah, my brother was. People say that obviously when they lose close friends and family, that they're, my brother was special and everything. But he was. A lot of people used to say it about him when he was around, and in life he just left his impression on people because he was a no-nonsense guy, very straightforward, very honest, and ingenious in so many ways. And that's why he was my manager. And then he came on to be my guitarist. I mean, he was like an 8-man team in one person. And now I have different management and all that, but I've had to replace him with a bunch of people rather than one person, because he was like superhuman.
Yeah.
The way his mind worked. And so, behind most success stories, there's a bunch of people. There's never one person, is it?
Yeah.
I attribute a lot of my success to him.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're doing the nightclubs while you're at school, and it was in 1987 that you formed the band Roachford. So what was the sort of the gradation from doing the nightclubs to suddenly going, we're going to do a band? And you know, you get signed and suddenly become in the 90s, you're Columbia Records' biggest selling UK act for 10 years. So what was that? What was that process?
That process was, you know what, that bit, I mean, seemed to happen when you, it's almost like when you're not trying, things happen. And I think I was, you know, walking around for a year with my tape trying to get signed. And then I kind of didn't do that. And how it kind of happened in the end was someone was drinking in the bar that I was gigging with my uncle, you know. And luckily, because I've been making these 4-track, these demos on, you know, the Porter Studio things, I've been learning how to write and put music together and stuff. And the guy came up to me, he was working with Island Records at the time, and he says, I like your voice. You got any songs that you do or you record? And I had the cassette in my hand and I gave it to him. And then I didn't hear from him for a while. He had my number and everything. And then one day, I got a ring and he was just like, oh, I'd like you to come down to, and it was Island Records. And how it worked back then anyway was that once there was a bit of a buzz about you, like one major label was thinking of signing you, the other labels start to get interested because they're like, well, he must be something and they want to get in. And so all of a sudden I had like, it was A&M at the time, Records, and there was CBS, which became Sony. And then there was this sort of like, it was almost like a bidding war, you know, and then next thing I knew, I was signed to Sony, and thinking, okay, what do I do now? Because I really just wanted to record an album in a big studio. That was my ambition. Right? And I couldn't afford to do it by my own means. And now I could record my album, my songs that I got on my Porter studio in a proper studio with my band. And I could get the equipment that I needed because I was doing it quite crudely, but then now I got a proper drum machine. I had like proper microphone. And that was kind of, for me, already I felt like I was successful. I'd made it because all the things I used to walk past the music shops and go and kind of drool over the microphone and the drum machine. Go, oh, one day, you know. And then here I was. I had it and a nice keyboard and so it was about that. And then all of a sudden I realized that it was going to go to the next level because I was with a major label and they were like, well, you know, you're going to be a pop star now. That's what, you know, that's the next level because that's how they make their money. You can't just, you know, continue just touring around universities. They want you to be huge, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about the pop star life, and of course, it sort of like really kicked off with Cuddly Toy, which I believe was like an a band in joke, wasn't it? So talk me through this fabulous bloody record, Cuddly Toy.
Well, I can start by saying this. I mean, I'm going to name drop, but it's an interesting story. It's like I was invited to a Billy Joel concert. We were the same label and stuff, and I was sitting there with my bass player Derek before the show in Wembley Arena, and then this bodyguard guy comes up and he goes, "If you've got a minute, Billy Joel, I'd like to meet you." And I was like, "Me?" He's like, "Yeah." So I got marched off to the dressing room, me and my mate, and Billy Joel's just sitting there by himself by a mirror, and he turns around and he says, "Nice to meet you. Did you write that song, Cuddly Toy?" And I went, "Yeah." And he was like, "Why did you go to those changes on the chorus? What made you think of going to those changes?" And I remember like going, I don't actually even know what he's on about, you know, because I think I wrote songs quite instinctively back then. And Cuddly Toy was an afterthought because we recorded my album and Cuddly Toy wasn't even written. And the album was actually packaged without Cuddly Toy. Cuddly Toy didn't exist. And then I thought, oh, for the live set, I want another up-tempo track that we can have fun with and sort of jam it out for like 10 minutes because I was listening to James Brown. And I thought, right, I'm going to get a groove and I'm going to get, you know, just a song together really quickly. And at the time, my keyboard player was like this handsome devil and he used to chat chat up women all the time when we were on the road, but his chat up lines were the most awful things you've ever heard, but he'd get away with saying anything because of the way he looked. And so one day, I mean, it's a bizarre story, but my manager was involved in the merchandise for Garfield. I hope you can stay with me on this. And there was this big stuffed Garfield, and my manager was like, right, want you to take that on the road like a mascot. And we used to have it on the stage, and by the end of the gigs, the girls used to try and steal it. Only the women, the guys weren't interested, but the girl. And my keyboard player was like, oh, women like cuddly toys. And so he got himself a little cuddly toy. He used to walk around with it and go up to girls and go, oh, I'm so lonely, can I get a hug? And we'd be in the background going, they're going to tell him where to get off and where to go. But they would always give him a hug. And it was like 100% success rate with his little cuddly toy. And I just thought, I got to put that in a lyric. And then when I presented the song to the record company, they loved the song. Well, actually, I didn't present it. I was playing it at the gigs. And they heard it and they were like, what is this song that you're playing at the gigs that's not on the album? I went, oh no, that's just it's like an in-joke song that we play live. And they were like, no, you got to record it. So we had to like quickly record it and go to New York, mix it. I mean, the whole thing was really nuts. And in the end, when it was done, it sounded amazing. And it definitely sounded like a radio song for whatever that was that I knew at the time. But the head of A&R said, but you can't call it Cuddly Toy. He goes, you have to be kidding me. And I went, well, no, if I don't call it that, then the joke gets lost because the song's very tongue-in-cheek. And you know, we fell out for he didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. And then one day I got a phone call, fine, you can call it Cuddly Toy, but it's never going to be a hit now. Wow. And that was his famous last words. And yeah, I mean, I won't mention his name, but that's how it was back then. I think as well, I think being a black guy and the band, all the members were of color band, and I think a lot of times people don't expect you to be tongue in cheek. They take it very literal, and I think a lot of people look and they took the song very literal, but got very confused by it, but liked it anyway. The lyric had people kind of going, "I like it, but I don't have a clue what he's on about."
Yeah, and musically, and you know, I love that story. By the way, I love it when record company paid people say, "No, it's never going to be a hit." Those are my favourite stories of all of them. But you know, musically, you weren't making, you know, the typical music that would have been expected of you at the time, were you? It was like, you know, this kind of rock pop vibe thing going on. Do you think it helped getting you signed because it was something different?
Well, it definitely helped getting me signed. I got signed on the merits of a song that ended up on my first album called Kathleen, and it was so unique in whatever genre it was. You know, it was almost like an Eagles type song. It did not sound like a typical kid from South London, black kid from South London. I mean, when I was at school, you know, some of my mates would call me weird because of my musical taste was so diverse, you know. And then growing up, I started getting into the blues. I loved the earthiness of the blues, and it wasn't typical of someone of my generation. It was actually very, very rare that loved guitar so much, you know. But the weird thing is that I'm a keyboard player. So the demo for Cuddly Toy was all done with synths and no guitar on it. It didn't have any guitar on it. And it kind of frustrated me because I felt like the chorus could have a bit more oomph to it. When I took it to the band, as I did, that's how I normally write songs on a 4-track Porter Studio and then take it to the band. As soon as they started playing it, the guitarist has had that sound, and we were like, that is good, let's roll with it. And that's basically how that came about, you know. I didn't have any sort of preconceived ideas of what we can do, what we can't do musically, you know. If it's a rock guitar and it works, it's in, you know. But the only thing then is that because that's the first that people hear of you, then they go, right, well, you're this. you know,
Right.
and you get sort of, it's like getting typecast as an actor, and you get scared that you can't come out of what people perceive you as. But actually, as I've gone on through my career, I realized that you have to challenge your fans anyway, because eventually they'll get bored of you because you'll be so predictable, you know. So I've given myself that freedom, and actually nowadays, younger generation are allowed to be more eclectic in their music than when Cuddly Toy was coming out. It was pretty much, this is what you stick to, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Do you still love it? Because the issue with, and I say issue, it's an issue for some people of writing a monster hit song, is that if it is a monster hit, you've got to sing it for the rest of your fucking life, and so you've got to still enjoy it. I guess this is the one song that everybody is expecting, you know, towards the end of your gigs now. Do you still love playing it?
Yeah, I love playing it now. There was a maybe a 2-year period way back when, after I thought surely people don't want to hear me play that again, and I kind of stopped, and it wasn't even a live set. And interestingly enough, when I play in Germany and outside of the UK, certain countries don't know that song, and they have a completely different perception of me, which is interesting. But as far as the UK was concerned, I think when it kind of dawned on me was like a couple of gigs that I went to back then. I went to a Prince gig, and he didn't play Purple Rain, and I was really disappointed. And then went to a Stevie gig, and he did do Superstition, but it dawned on me, how many times must he have played that song? You know, and I was so chuffed that he did it. You know, for me, it was the first time I heard it live, and then I kind of woke up to, well, you know, song like Cuddly Toy, for some people, that's like that was when they were at college. That's a big memory for them, and it's a nostalgia and whatever. And it's done me so much good that how could I not like to play it? And thankfully, because I'm a musician and I do improvise, none of my performances are exactly the same each time. Different mistakes, but yeah. And so it keeps it fresh for me. Like the fact that we play the songs in the moment.
Yeah.
And I realize that it's not personal. Everyone, I mean, when I'm singing with Mike and the Mechanics, you know, I have to do The Living Years and Over My Shoulder, and that's just how it works. And that's what people want, you know. If I was in Procol Harum and I didn't do White Shadow Pale, it'd be
Yeah.
You know, wrong.
So you're still gigging strongly. Are there territories, are there countries that have been particularly good to you that you know are absolutely your go-to? You have to tour there.
Yeah, definitely around Europe, for example. Like Germany was always. They discovered me after the Cuddly tour, so they discovered me on the second album, and they're a real loyal crowd, and they love music. They really love music beyond the fad, so they don't get phased when things are going in and out of whatever the fads or whatever. It's a bit more constant. I mean, you know, unless they're 19 years old, but you know, my fans are of a certain age. But yeah, no, and then going to around Switzerland, Austria, those parts, and then on a side thing was Australia. When I did my third record, Permanent Shade of Blue, it went crazy over there. It was like I was the number one artist out there for a couple of years. I remember going there, and you know, there was people like Madonna had records out, and mine was out selling hers, and it was just it's just like it's a long way to go though. But yeah, there's a lot of love there. A lot of love, and you know, you go where the love is, and I love traveling anyway, so it works.
What was the life like in the 90s? Then you're Colombia's biggest selling act for 10 years, and you know, you're touring the world. What was it? Do you look back on it fondly, or do you think, oh my gosh, that was tough? What was it like? Tell me.
I do look back on it fondly. I obviously understand that I was a lot younger and I was learning a lot. You know, I mean, it was a big learning curve, everything. I remember when the first album came out, and like Cuddly Toy, you know, once you do Top of the Pops a couple of times in the UK back then, you're a celebrity, you know? And so everything can change quite quickly. And literally walking into the local supermarket, as I always did, all of a sudden became a different experience. You know, I was like, why are people staring at me? And even the checking out, and the woman checking out is kind of smiling and grinning. And, you know, I've got something stuck in my teeth. What's going on? And it took me a while to kind of get my head around things are different now, you know. And actually, for a while, it freaked me out a little bit because I remember getting messages saying, "Oh, I saw you in the so-and-so club last night." And I'm like, I didn't even know people were seeing me and watching me, you know. So then I started getting a bit paranoid stepping out of my house. I remember once I stepped out of my house. I still lived at my mum's when Cuddly Toy came out. And I came out of the house and this car turned on the ignition and screeched past me, and the guy ran down the window and went, "Roachford is shit," and then he drove off. And it was like he had to have been waiting there all day to do what I call a slag by. It's like a drive by.
I was.
And it was after that happened.
I waited there for hours.
Oh man, and I know there were certain things that happened where you realize that there were people watching the house, and I wasn't as happy about that part of it. But there was a lot of great works, and just being able to tour the way I love touring and having a crew, and you know, it was just, I mean, it was quite excessive at one point. I remember people going, "Well, what do you want to take out on the road?" And I said, "Well, I want my keyboard," and they, "Yeah, but what else?" And so I started go for a joke. I'm like, "Can I get 3 full-sized Space Invader games?" And they were like, "Yep, what else?" And it was just like the dressing rooms just looked ridiculous because it was just like, imagine you're in your 20s and that you've been asked anything you want in there, and it was just like random rubbish in there, you know.
So did it actually change?
Yeah, I had an arcade, a full-size arcade in the dressing room.
Did you actually?
Yes. Yeah. We took the full-size machines on the road because you could.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, okay, I can. And no one's wincing. They were like, "Yeah, what else?" And I was like, really? Is this how it works?
Wow.
And so, yeah, it got a bit crazy for a while. And, you know, and then went to America, and that was something else. That was another learning curve as well, because America's a different animal. You know, but Cuddly Toy was getting heavy rotation on MTV. So again, it's like people knew who you were, and musicians were really getting, because I was like a musician's musician apparently in America, and you know, the perception was kind of different in a way, because in England, Cuddly Toy was perceived very much as the pop star, the way Bros was, if you know what I mean. Whereas in America, it was a bit more like, yeah, you know, he's a musician, man, you know, and he can really, those guys can really rock, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more grown up in a way, which was interesting as well.
Did you? Yeah. I mean, obviously, yes, in terms of the arcade games, but did you get swept up in any of the excess that comes with celebrity?
I think I did a good job of keeping my feet on the ground, because I could see how when you're younger, everyone's telling you how brilliant you are all the time can make you lose the plot a bit. You know, you can really lose the plot and start believing the hype. But I think one of the things that kept me grounded was, well, partly because I've been gigging long before I'd had a record deal. I was already a seasoned musician by the time I was in my late teens. So I was like a seasoned, hardcore road traveling musician. Yeah. And number two, the guys who were in my band were always around me, and they knew me before all that kicked off. And they just saw me as, well, Andrew, and they really kept me grounded, because the way they spoke to me, and they were like, you know, well, you're still Andrew to us. And so, yeah, I think being in an environment of people that didn't change, that kept me grounded as well.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And yeah, and it wasn't all about that for me. I wasn't one of those kids that was hell bent on, I have to be famous. You know, I just wanted to make great albums. I loved all the music that I loved, and Stevie Wonders and the Motown records. I was like, I want to do something great like that, and that was what I was always, and still am, striving for. And the fame thing was like a side. It was almost like a side thing that came with it. Yeah. And I kind of went, wow, that's quite nice, you know. And Of course, you love it. You like, in the right way, people recognizing you when you're on the street, and if they're nice, and just that, getting the better table in the restaurant and really fickle things like that. But at the same time, it was always been about the music for me.
Yeah. Do you have a what we call a high that you can't buy? One of those moments that you just always remember. Oh, by the way, before you answer this, can I just tell you that one of my massive highs that you can't buy was sitting in the box at the Albert Hall waiting for Mike and Mechanics to come on stage. And the first song that Mike kicked off was The Road, which I wrote. And of course, you were singing, and you didn't know it, but I was sitting up in a box watching, weeping because my song had opened a gig at the Albert Hall. So you were
oh my God.
The high that I
part of it.
So what about you? What are the highs that you can't buy? What are those that have happened to you?
I mean, there's been so many highs that I couldn't buy, from opening. We opened for In Excess at Wembley Stadium, and when we went on, it was packed. And can you imagine? And it was daylight. It was summer, I think. It was summer In Excess, and my mum was there as well. So my mum's there. I'm on stage at the stadium, and all the people from Sony are there. Elton John's there, and he's literally having a go at Red Company, going, "You need to work harder on this guy because he is the future." I mean, he was such a big fan, and I got to meet him as well. That's a whole other story. But that was a high. I mean, and then I thought, let me put up my hands and do the clapping thing and see what happens. And you do that, and 70,000 people. Hands go up. You go, oh my God. I mean, the first time I played to that many people, and I'd always had a reoccurring dream about it before then, interestingly enough. And then when I was on stage, like 2 songs in, I went, this is the dream, isn't it? There's that moment on that hot summer's day. And there I was, and that was amazing. And obviously meeting Stevie Wonder, I met Stevie Wonder a couple of times, and the first time I didn't actually expect to meet him. And I just, I got a tap on the back. I was in a party, which was for a film called Jungle Fever, and Stevie had done the soundtrack to it, but I didn't know that he was in the after party. And I was about to leave. I was with my brother. I was like, let's get out of here. It's too crowded. Felt a tap on my back, and it was a guy with Stevie Wonder. And Stevie Wonder had his hand stretched out. And I was like, I was in so much shock that I went, what? And I didn't actually make the connection, the physical connection that you have to do with a blind person. They don't even know what's happening. And then I remembered that he was blind, and then I grabbed his hand, and I just was just like walking home after that going, wow, did that just happen? Because I mean, I can't express what that man has meant to me musically growing up, and that was just a crazy moment.
Yeah.
A high, yeah.
This is what I love about.
I mean, there's been so many.
Yeah, this is what I love about the music business, Andrew, is that you go into it and with, you innocently, like for me, grabbing a guitar and singing on the street, and for you, singing in the clubs, and you never expect that you're going to meet the people that you grew up listening to. And again, bizarrely for me, one of them was at Fisher Lane Farm when we were cutting the Road album with Mike and Mechanics. Right. One morning I found myself standing there talking to Mike and Tony Banks about orchestration and holding a cup of coffee. Fucking hell, hold on a minute. When I was 7 years old, I was listening to Wind and Wuthering, all the Genesis albums, and no idea that this was going to happen later. And you just kind of, I don't know, like you say, I love the fact that you just go from one experience to the next, and these things just happen, don't they?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they come with the whole game and the whole business, the music business, because it's so closely knitted in that way. So the chance of these things happening are quite high. The first gig that I did with Mike and Mechanics, or one of the first gigs, was Prince's Trust at Albert Hall. And I had to share a dressing room with Phil Collins. And when I got introduced to him, I walked in, he had his trousers down by and I was like, wow, if you'd have told me this 30 odd years ago, I would have not believed it.
There's Phil Collins's ass.
Yeah, it was so surreal. it was, I mean, it was one of those moments you went, wow, I'm just sharing a dressing room, me and him and Mike, you know, getting naked together. I mean,
so what's the difference? So while we're on the mic and the mechanics, what's the difference for you when you're performing your stuff and when you're performing Mike? Is it a different Roachford that we're seeing?
Well, I think, I mean, I have massive respect for all the, you know, Paul Carrick and Paul Young, the original singers of Mike and the Mechanics, because they set the bar really high, and it's a beautiful thing. Obviously, when I joined Mike and the Mechanics, I had to find my space in it, and it took me a while to sort of go, okay, this is how I land in this thing, you know, because I've come from the more sort of, I guess, rhythm and bluesy, sort of free kind of feel. And Mike and Mechanics is a bit more, like live is a bit more set, you know. And I think when I was in the first rehearsals, everyone's kind of looking at me going, why is he improvising? What's going on with that? Because I just, that's how I come from that world. But then I managed to find that balance of still keeping it me, still keeping it free to a point, but obviously the songs that I wasn't involved in writing, still sort of respecting what they are and making that work for what it always has been. But it's, yeah, I had to sort of really, it took me a while to find my place in it.
Yeah.
It's still the same Andrew, but there's definitely different challenges vocally of what Mike likes to hear. So I'm using parts of my voice that I might not use with my band, you know. My band is more about the whole thing. The music and everything is kind of always on the same thing. Whereas with Mike and Mechanics, it is about the big voice at the front, you know. And so, yeah, that was a different kind of challenge. But I like challenges because then you grow through them.
Yeah, completely. So talking about your voice then, how do you look after your voice? How do you keep your vocal health?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I think it's important as well because because of the way that I got into singing as almost like a side thing to my piano playing. I never took myself seriously as a singer, so I didn't go to learn about singing. I didn't learn about warming up and through the early days of Roachford, quite a long time, I never warmed up. I didn't have a clue. I was just singing. You know? It was just an extension of piano playing and music. So yeah. But then I realized that if I wasn't careful as I got older, I was going to maybe develop problems. And I did get a period where I did have a few problems, and it was made aware to me that, you know, you kind of have to train. You know, it's like Usain Bolt can run fast. He's got a natural gift to run fast. Doesn't mean if he doesn't train, he can still win races. He can't. He has to train. And if you want longevity as a singer, you have to be aware of what you can do and what you can't do and how you can do things. So I started quite late in life, I mean, not that long ago, to sort of explore that. And you know, I have a vocal coach that I work with every now and again, which I would have never thought I'd do. I thought that meant you can't sing, you know, the old me. But now I'm like, no. I mean, vocal coaches are not necessarily great singers, you know. It's a different kind of thing. Technique and being able to really move a crowd are two different things. And so, yeah, I think that's part of it. It's just sort of going, okay, learning the technical side of what you do.
Yeah.
You know, I would never imagine that Stevie was such a technician. I always thought he was like me, that he just gets up out of bed and starts singing. And now I know that that's not true at all. He's very trained and he's very disciplined. I mean, discipline is a hard thing for a rock and roller like me. You know, I'd like to think that I could just have a couple of beers and walk on stage and start singing. But as you get older as well, you've got to be a bit more careful.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool. Yeah. Talk to us about your newest album, because you're still making great music. Tell us about that, if you would.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, you know, I think the thing about the new albums is that I'm always trying to grow. So when people go, well, is it as good as this album, as good as that album that you did in the past? I don't look at it like that. I look like I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to explore and use the stuff that I've learned along the way as a singer and as a songwriter. And this album is basically, it's kind of a mix of two things. There's new tracks on it. There's about four or five new tracks on it, but there's also reworkings and revisited some of the old hits that I've had, and that was quite interesting to me because I almost feel like I'm a different person in a lot of ways now. I'm the same guy, but I'm different because I've learned so much along the way. And hearing the younger Andrew Roachford on the older recordings, especially when I started to sort of re-record them, was an eye-opener for me, really eye-opener, because I was like, wow, what was in my head back then? Different things, you have a different perspective. So these songs are the old songs, but with the new head on, if you know what I mean. And my singing voice has changed dramatically, as it does. Your speaking voice as a human being, things get, worn in, and you have more depth, and you have the depth of what's come from your journey, and that's the most important thing. I mean, like Joni Mitchell's touring now, or she will be touring, her voice is like an octave lower now, and you would think, how would that work? But actually, in some ways, I prefer her voice now because there's that wisdom that's in the voice, and I think that goes a long way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And what's the album called?
It's called Then and Now.
There you go. And if people were listening to this that haven't heard you before, and what would be the one song of yours that you would love them to start their Andrew Roachford journey with?
Oh my God. I mean, wow, that's a good question. I mean, the other day someone posted their ballet school in New York was doing a routine to my song, Only to Be With You. And I think Only to Be With You has got a lot of the elements of Then and Now in that one song. I was working with I'm getting a bit blurred there. I think it's because it's getting dark. I was working with a songwriter who's quite...
Do you want to switch a light
Put the light on.
Yeah.
Yes, I will, actually. Excuse me for a sec.
That's all right. I can edit this bit.
There we go. Any better? Am I still blurred? Oh no, that's better.
There you go. Perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying is that he said to me, he didn't really know my music. It was this like 20 years old, 21 years old kid. And so he was Googling me and listening to my stuff, and he came across Only to Be With You. And he went, when was this done? And I went, oh, that was in the 90s. And he was like, he couldn't believe it because he said, it sounds like it was done now. And I think there's something about that recording that really is timeless. And I think that would be a good introduction on many levels, because what I like about that song again is it's a love song, but it's got soul, but it's also, the verses have got that humor that was quite big part. Well, it is a big part of who I am as well. There's a tongue-in-cheekness in the verses that I think it's like, well, this is a serious love song, but I'm not taking myself too seriously at the same time.
Yeah. The music business has changed a lot since you and I both went into it. How are you finding it navigating the music business now? It's a completely different animal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the big things is social media. And, it's weird. I've got a weird love-hate thing with social media. I get it. And, I'm one of the old fogies that's been around before the internet, which sounds weird. You say that to someone who's like 18, you go, I was around before the internet. I remember when this was all fields, mate. It kind of freaked people out. And the fact that you had to sort of get your music across by actually going out there. And we used to go up and down the motorway and gig in universities and wherever would take us. And that was how you got, in a little transit van, that's how you got your message across. And I quite love that time. And now it's a bit of, the emphasis is in a different place. But the thing about life is that things are constantly going through evolution and change. And you got to embrace it and get on it, or it just leaves you behind. And so I accept it for what it is. And on another level, on a positive level, there's so many of my friends who were musicians, who were great musicians that couldn't get major deals, and so they didn't know how to get their music to an audience. You know, I mean, they couldn't get on the radio because radio, like a playlist, is like 20 odd people, and then the rest of you can piss off because there's not enough room in the inn, mate. You know, so the good thing about social media is that you can build your own following, your own crowd, and through other means without having to rely on, major labels and £1 million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's good for that, Yeah, and you can discover stuff. I mean, I can discover stuff on YouTube that might not normally come my way, and I find that's a good thing. And even like for younger up-and-coming musicians, the tutorials that are on YouTube now for singers and for guitarists, and I wish I had those kind of, back in the day, you'd have to find some pounds to pay a teacher, and it was a rich man's game in the sense that to have a vocal coach, I mean, who could afford that when you come from, working class family in South London?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really interesting thing. I was saying yesterday to someone that the great thing about the internet is that everybody gets a chance to release their own music, and the worst thing about the internet is that everybody gets their own chance to release their own music. So
what I find interesting,
heard is a different matter, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, but then you have to, because I'd say that there's a lot more people. Because anyone can make music, you can get a laptop and an interface and you're away. So obviously I would think that there's a lot more people making music. So there's a lot more music out there. But there's not a lot more better songs being written. It's not like there's loads more sort of, big tunes out there. There's pretty much the same amount. So it just pushes me to sort of make sure that what I do is of a certain level, and I believe that I have the capability to do that it's people are going to want to hear it. And that's the thing. I mean, you have to keep pushing yourself and go, well, if I don't come up with the right thing, people aren't going to be interested. And there are loads of people making records, but making music. But on another side, it pushes you to come out of your comfort zone and make those big tunes,
Yeah, definitely. At the center of everything, I believe, success in the music business now is a bloody good song. Just have a great song to start with. It's not, Anyway, don't even. I could.
That hasn't changed.
No, true. So we have to talk about the MBE, and I will let you go shortly. But 2019, you got an MBE, which for anybody outside of the UK, it's a member of the Order of the British Empire, and every year the royal family gives out these special awards and medals to people. What was your MBE for, and how was that experience?
My MBE was for services to music, which was a massive honor to me because, that's a big statement in itself. And I remember a letter came through the door, as it does, apparently. And I looked at it and I first thought, this looks like a massive bill. And I left it on the table because I wasn't in the mood. And I think it sat there for a couple of days. And then I opened it and I realized, and it said, the Prime Minister, and it was like these big names, like the Prime Minister has gone to the Queen, and I started, and I had to read it a couple of times going, what? And then I realized that I'd been put up for an MBE, and I don't know by who, I still don't know to this day, but I was really really chuffed, and then, you get invited to Buckingham Palace to get your medal, and it's the most surreal thing. And the beautiful thing is that I had my family with me when I went.
Oh, great.
And my brother drove me, and it was a beautiful sunny day. I remember getting to the gates of Buckingham Palace, and there was all these tourists around the gates, and they were looking like, where's he going? It's so funny. And at that time I had a song out called Love Remedy. And as we drove into the palace, we had the radio on, and it just came on the radio. Beautiful sunny day, sunny morning. And there I was with my brother, who literally weeks after that passed away. So it was a very, very special day on so many levels. My mum was there. And, you know, my mum worked 2 jobs at one point, and she was a single parent. I don't know how she did it to make sure that I got private tuition with the piano and everything. So for me, that accolade, that award was as much for my brother, who had so much to do with my success, and my mum, as it was for me, you know. And I felt like, wow. And for my mum as well, she's from the Caribbean, which was a big part of the British Empire. You know, people her generation from the Caribbean felt as British as anyone that was from England, you know, because they felt like it was their history as well. And the Queen and the whole thing about Buckingham Palace, for her generation, is taken super seriously. That's it, you know. And so for my mom, it was just, I mean, it was hard not to shed a few tears that day, if I'm really honest. And when I think about it still, it makes me emotional, obviously. And some of my school teachers got in touch with me because they also felt, you know, I mean, I had my music teacher was a big supporter of mine, and I did have a few teachers that really did support me. And so, you know, the success goes down the line. It's like, it's not just about you, is it? And it's about the people that helped you along the way.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah, but fuck the maths teacher, right?
But the maths teacher, but you know what, to be fair to my maths teacher, when I started getting the songs on the radio and stuff, she got in touch with my mum and said, I'm so glad you didn't listen to me.
Oh, great.
I was wrong.
Okay, well, hug her then.
So she said that. She had the front to say that. So, you know,
that's
big
brilliant.
props to her.
But you know, that the MBE story, I was getting emotional just listening to you talking about that. I can only imagine what it's like being there with the people you love the most, getting such an amazing award. But how weird is it that your song comes on the radio as you're driving through the gates?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I don't know what the odds are, but it. Literally, the gates were opening. We had the radio on, and we just drove slowly in. We were ushered in, and the song came on. It was like our theme music. I mean, we drove in, and I was just like, "Wow, this is not happening," but it is happening. But it's almost like you're dreaming.
It's like I
felt like I was in a dream state.
Yeah, it's like your own personal fanfare to go in there, isn't it? Wow. That's you know what? If that happened in a Hollywood movie, Andrew, everyone go, "That's a load of shit."
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like The Bodyguard or something. That never happens, you know. But it happened, and you know, another thing's quite humbling is going in, and there's the other people about to pick up their medals, and you know, one of them's like. Fought in the last sort of Middle East war, and you know, someone's like a midwife, and I was thinking, well, I feel like I'm not worthy here because all these people have done so much, you know, in the health industry and the NHS. But then they were all coming up to me and they were going, "Oh my God, you're like," I know a lot of them were fans, and so it was kind of like they were like, "Wow, we're up here with you," and so it was a weird sort of. Perspective for all of us.
But Andrew, you know as well as I do how healing and good for the universe, everybody in it, music is. I mean, there's nothing that can come close to it, you know. And I say to everybody that comes through the academy, I remind them of how special they are because they can affect the planet for the rest of time. And everybody in it, if they put in the work, and that's where it all comes down to, you know, what you've done, the work, and you've still got the passion for it, haven't you?
Oh man, I mean, how can you not? I mean, I really can't count the amount of times people come up to me and go, "You helped me get through my cancer treatment," or my son was having treatment for cancer, or someone said, "I was contemplating suicide and your song Ride the Storm helped me through that period of my life." I get it all the time. And you kind of go, wow, that's kind of what it's about. That's what it's about. Yeah. You know, for me anyway, it's just like, well, when you hear that, it's ridiculously humbling, you know, and I get it a lot. I get letters all the time. People, like just the other day, someone said that her husband has just gone through 2 like operations, he's like hip operations, and he's having difficulty walking and he's getting depressed, but he's like big fan of your music. And if you could just say hello on a letter or something, it would just make his life. And it's just those things that, you know, your songwriter, that your pupils, whatever they're called, that they you don't always realize the true power of a song that it can have and how it can permeate and the world. you will never know, you know.
Yeah, and that's
Really.
your legacy right there, isn't it? Just creating amazing music. Absolutely. I'm still getting quite emotional here just talking about this. What advice then would you give to new people, new emerging artists in the music business?
Don't do it. I'm joking. Yeah, never lose your sense of humor. That's it. That's another thing. It's like, but emerging in the, I've always said as well that firstly and foremostly, what gets you through is that your passion is about the music. If you're just passionate about being famous or getting a big car, I don't know if that will carry you through, because it is a roller coaster. It's going to be some days when you feel like you're the best thing on the planet, and other days when you think, oh my God, I'm not that good. You know, it's just how it works. You get tested. But if your passion is in the music, you'll always be writing. And the way to come for greatness is to practice. You keep writing and keep writing, and you keep learning. So I just say, you know, as long as your passion is in the music, everything else will fall into place. You'll get through. You'll have longevity.
That's brilliant.
In my opinion.
And what a fabulous way to end this. Brilliant words, mate. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Martin. Any day, man. You're the man. You're the man.